Welcome everyone to the show. This is the extra Star Wars podcast channel thing dedicated to keeping it realer than the volume. We're a collection of Star Wars fans from different perspectives on life. I like to read a lot of books and comics, so we get a little bit of insight there. Mike, super judgmental, will keep it real for you. And Damien, our resident toy collector, brings in the best positive kind of angles that you will ever see. And with our powers combined, of course, we're going to bring you the best show that we can bring, because our opinions are here to stay, just like that sequel trilogy. Now let's calculate that jump to hyperspace or the new beyond, and we'll see you on the other side. Oh, wow, that was a long black outro there. I think there's a sneaky video at the end of that. I probably didn't delete it. Doesn't matter. Welcome to part 8, the finale. The Jedi Witch, the Witch and the Warlord? What are we stealing ideas now, Filoni? What's going on with this title? Goodness gracious me. Who's that, C.S. Lewis?
I was just looking, I'm pretty sure it's C.S. Lewis.
C.S. Lewis, yeah, that's a book thing. Don't worry about it. I know it. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which was, by the way, a fantastic book series.
Loving that.
Not a great movie, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the show. We are one day late, mainly because we were watching the miserable Phillies last night as they blew a 4-0 lead, and I do think we should do a live show during the Phillies game. That would be a terrible idea, but maybe one day into the future. My name is Techie. We are going to the beyond. We have Mateo here. He is here, as always, for the cake.
Balin is a daddy.
And Damien is here, better than Ezra Bridger. You two haven't changed your taglines at all.
No.
Throughout the season. You've kept it pretty consistent. We had an opportunity to be, like, really funny with them, and you two, honestly, we were a little boring.
No, I'm always here for the cake.
Well, that is true. I loved the Star Wars Photoshop that Dame sent over, which was just fantastic. If you haven't seen that, it's just Hera's Lego minifig with a couple extra single circle, what do they call them? Studs. Little studs on the back side, and that's okay with us. This is episode 124, we think. And we're here to not really break it down, but just to chat about it, to talk about it with you. The final time for Ahsoka, which is super surreal. Watching, I don't know if you got this feeling, but watching my little miniature recaps within the intro is like, there was a lot of stuff that happened in this season that was super memorable, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really cool to think about. And I love putting those together, and StreamYard, we're back onto it. I think just had to restart my computer. I think that's why my camera was going wacky-dacky the other day. And that's okay, we're here. Oh, boys, I would like to get started with our overall impressions, because this is one of those things where I was catching a lot of differing opinions on the Twitter, and I've come up with a conclusion. And most people aren't going to like it. And that's what I'm excited for tonight. Let's get going. The Ahsoka finale was a little polarizing for some. For me, I felt that it was the opening of doors rather than the resolution of anything. And I think they did exactly what they set out to do versus try to, I don't know, tie everything up in a neat little bun that most shows do. And the theory behind that is that we are just living in a comic book serial type of storyline now where it's never really going to end. And, you know, I mean, we know there's an Andor season 2, but Andor felt more tied up than the Ahsoka series. And we know Andor's going to have a second season. We have no idea what's going to happen with Ahsoka at this time. So for me, I'm a little conflicted because I like the finale. I understand the discourse with being disappointed about certain threads. And I definitely understand sort of the, well, you had to watch Rebels to really understand the show. I'm kind of 50-50 on that. I don't know if you really needed to watch it. I bet you if you put somebody in front of the TV, they would be entertained by the content, but they would lose some of the value. So I'm all over the place. Rebels. Yeah, I'm all over the place with my overall impressions. Like, would my dad like Star Wars? Would he like Ahsoka? I don't know. No idea. He probably would enjoy it because it's flashy and it's Game of Thrones-like, you know, and it's storytelling, I suppose. Mike, what about you? You raised your hand first.
Well, I didn't watch Rebels.
Didn't you watch snippets of it? You didn't watch it at all. That's right.
Not really. I didn't watch a lot. I know
snips,
about
not
it.
Snippets. Come on.
You missed Disney XD. That's what you missed.
Disney XD.
I agree with you that I didn't think the finale was earth-shattering, but I felt like it had a great flow to it, just like the episode before. But I agree with you. I think we talked about this afterwards, was that they answered questions with more questions.
Yeah.
Which I really don't have a problem with either.
I don't.
Because we know what we're almost guaranteed in Ahsoka season 2. We have Skeleton Crew, which is set in the same verse as this now. We are going to have Mando season 4. And we're going to have the Mandoverse movie. And probably there's going to be more in between that. So I really don't have an issue with them answering questions with more questions. I'm fine with it. But like I said, it wasn't earth-shattering. Yeah. No big reveals, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
We knew exactly what was going to happen from the start, especially with our early predictions from Part 7, which was just like, it ended too happy, Thrawn's going to have a victory here. But no major thingies happened, and we'll probably get into that a little bit later. Dame, we throw it to you.
Yeah, so, I mean, I liked it. I think it did a good job of wrapping everything up for the moment. Like, you got to see where every main character was and where we're leaving them for right now. But you still had that kind of Empire Strikes Back shred of hope that, like, you know, Ahsoka didn't seem overly worried. Anakin's watching over her. Like, you know that they're going to figure out a way to get to Thrawn at some point in time. Yeah. So I like how they wrapped it up for the time being. And, you know, no cliffhangers. I mean, like, I guess because I don't consider Ahsoka and everyone being stranded there a cliffhanger. Like, we know they're going to find their way. If she just stayed there forever with Sabine and, you know, Shin and Balin, like, that would just be, it would be the weirdest choice ever. So I like the way that they wrapped it up for the time being. Not like an overly, like, happy, everyone's happy ending, but just like a hopeful ending. And getting us looking forward to just this entire world that Filoni is building with all these various shows that's going to crescendo in the movie, which is going to be awesome.
For sure. And I definitely think there's threads and opportunities abound post Ahsoka. And I couldn't say that before because you got Mando, which is really not too much connecting to the broader storyline. Now with Ahsoka, I think we're getting closer. Bridging the gap between our original trilogy and sequel trilogy and making it make sense. I want to talk more about that during Wayseeking, of course, but we definitely should start off with our top moments. And shout out to Backyard TARDIS for being in the chat. Thank you for being here. You're coming in with coming in with hot comments already, and we're going to get to you in just a few, but let's talk about our top moments. I want to say there's a fair amount of top moments here, but like Mike, you alluded to, like, it wasn't this is not an earth-shattering episode. It's a tight 42, right? 42 minutes, 43 minutes, where you're just like, something very meaningful is happening on screen. Although I do have a gripe about one thing, which will come down later. My most tippity-toppity moment is something that has happened for the first time in live action in every Star Wars content out there in live action, OTPT, Mando live action, Boba whatever the other shows I'm missing, doesn't matter. Building a lightsaber live on this finale was the best part of this show for me. One, it was like I was back in Galaxy's Edge with all the scrap parts, so I thought that was great. Two, I realized that I am Ezra Bridger. I don't have a system, I have a method. That's just me now. I'm looking at my desk. This is what I am. I am Ezra Bridger. Thank you for that. Apparently there's a deleted scene in Return of the Jedi which has Luke building his lightsaber, but it's deleted, so it doesn't count. So for me, I just thought that moment was really cool to see, and of course paying homage to Kanan, right? And that's probably something, Mike, that you were like, cool, he's building a lightsaber. What you didn't know is that he's building the exact replica of his masters, right? Which you picked up on, sure. But like when I saw the part, I was like, oh damn, Rebels unlocked Easter egg, which I thought was really cool. But I just like Hu Yang in that scene is just fantastic, with just being able to fill in some gaps. Like, he called Kanan Caleb, because that was his real name. We see Caleb sort of in, I guess what, it was in the opening of Clone Wars, right? Season 7 is Caleb in Clone Wars Season 7, getting chased and whatever, which was cool. And then, of course, we don't really see him until he's Kanan Jarrus, had to change his name and his identity, which is really cool. So,
briefly in Bad Batch.
Is he in Bad Batch?
Yeah, the very first episode.
Was I thinking Bad Batch and not Clone Wars?
He was getting chased in Bad Batch.
That was it. Which was a pleasant surprise for me. I thought that was really awesome. But it's just amazing to see, well, I guess the mystery of the lightsaber is like, do you need to connect with the Kyber crystal? Traditionally, I guess not. Not at this point. Yoda would take you to Ilum. Ilum is where you would get your crystal. This is known, sort of. Cal Kestis, right, gets his crystal, I think, on Ilum or something like that, or he gets the new crystal or the second saber or whatever. And then Ilum is eventually turned into Starkiller Base, and then no one gets a crystal there, which is kind of wacky-dacky. But I guess with Ezra's being a Boken Jedi, right, he just doesn't matter. I don't need to be connected to this crystal, but I am going to mechanicize this lightsaber together. We're going to get this thing working. And it was kind of intricate with the way it was created. There was lots of screws and things of that nature, and I just thought that whole scene was neat from top to bottom. So definitely one of my top favorite moments.
Was that the first live action Kanan name drop?
No,
Hu Yang mentioned it a couple episodes earlier.
He mentioned it to
when they were talking
Carson.
About
when
Carson.
He was like, Jason has abilities. His father was Kanan Jarrus or something like that. But still, again, mentioned twice must be nice and important. So that's one of my top moments. I punt it to Mr. Mike.
My top was the arrival of the true Night Troopers. You got the scary strings.
Scary strings.
You got the green eyes.
Yeah.
You got the twitching, like the zombie, like twitching, like back into place.
Yeah.
It was frightening.
Did you like it?
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was straight out of a horror movie.
It really was.
And then
yeah.
I literally wrote, "They keep fucking coming," because they're just deflecting every blaster, and nope, they're just going to keep coming at you with that slow Michael Myers walk. And
Yeah, the only way you're doing it is severing limbs. Severing limbs. You have to sever them.
Yeah.
You know,
the true arrival of the night troopers, the undead night troopers.
Yeah,
it was great. It was horrifying, but I feel like I don't know if the regular troopers overtook them when they were going up the ramp, up the steps.
Yeah,
they went from like the slow plodding walk to them sprinting up the steps.
They sure did. Yeah, I did catch some. There was sort of scripty rewrites, and there may have been some scenes where they didn't know they were dead.
They were zombies.
Yeah. There may have been. I think I did read that there was lots of scenes. You know, Filoni cut some what would be considered key details, and sort of threaded it together. I mean, one really dumb thing about Star Wars is the ability to slash a door panel and it will shut almost every time. And it doesn't matter. I mean, I want a doors panel to be slashed and then nothing happens. Like you've actually you've just locked it into place. So that's super interesting. Is this new? This is new, right? This is new. I knew. Well, I sort of assumed that's what Thrawn was mentioning prior to. Is we're gonna need your dark magics one more time, sisters, and they sort of delivered. Also, they were volunteers, so did they know they were gonna be brought back to life? Like, were they volunteering to be killed? Like they knew they were gonna be killed and brought back to life, or were they volunteering that they knew they weren't going to be on the Chimera and not
that
coming
one.
back? Or maybe the details weren't exactly on the memo.
Could have been spoon-fed something, all right,
Yeah.
or maybe, we promise you everlasting life, but they didn't specify. They were just gonna be like a mindless zombie person thing or something.
Yeah. But here's interesting things about that, since we're on Night Troopers, is the Death Troopers, which was a pleasant surprise to have them. They were super undead.
Yeah.
You know, they were deteriorated. They looked zombie-ish. So the question is were they always zombie-ish? Were these Death Troopers always zombie-ish? You just don't decay like that because you got... So then, like, whereas the theory's correct in saying that because of the red, uniformy electrical tape, could they kind of... Was the dark magic keeping them normal? And then they sort of were let loose into this invincible mode, this rabid mode. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Very interesting. Yes, indeed, the silence.
I'm thinking,
I know.
like,
I know.
the files are inside the computer.
Yeah. Right. Which is it makes me think, is there dark magic in these cases in the Chimera? I don't know.
Yeah, what's
What
in the
cases? What's in the box? I don't know.
Maybe in the threads holding the suits together. Although that doesn't really make sense at the end with Ezra. Like the red.
Yeah.
All the witches they wear red, so like it.
Yeah. Like when he
looks like it's
undressed
magical,
the stormtrooper, what did he see?
Where's that deleted scene?
Yeah,
I want to see that
seriously.
deleted scene. Exactly. All right,
I
Dane.
think we'll get a flashback. That'd be pretty cool.
That would, yeah. I just, I mean, I don't know how important is it to have zombie troopers coming back to the galaxy we know.
Mm-hmm.
What's that going to mean? There's some chatter in the chat that would state that Peridia is a potential. It enhances force abilities, which would sort of explain why Sabine, can unlock her potential. Why Ahsoka and Ezra can hold up a ship, with very little effort. They weren't tired at all, which is kind of cool. I like that part a lot. But was there some sort of enhancement of the Force? Sort of like not zero gravity, but that concept where you're on it. You're in a different galaxy, and the Force sort of is manipulated a little bit differently. You know, it's not exactly 1, maybe it's 0.7, so it takes less effort to do things there. Maybe there's some sort of central point in nature there. Who knows? It's just sort of, it's science. We love science on this show for sure.
So I have an answer after I sneeze.
Bless you! Oh my God.
Muted perfectly too.
That was beautifully done.
Thank you. The finger was right on the trigger for mute. I was like, I know it's coming, but I need to get my point across beforehand.
Edging.
Edging. So, I believe that the night troopers were regular old people in their stormtrooper uniforms.
Whatever.
And then they were brought back to life as the zombies because as they were doing their little chants and whatnot, she says, "Arise."
Yeah.
So it wouldn't really make sense for them to be kept normal, then die, then arise. So I'm going to go with they were people, and then they were not people.
That's fine. Whatever you say, but that Death Trooper is sussy. That's the only thing.
Seems more droid than anything.
Interesting. Death Troopers, very cool. Dame, a top moment from you, if you may.
Yeah, so the dead Death Troopers, the Death Troopers. I love the just the practical effects on seeing like the jaw and the teeth and everything when the one's holding up Sabine. I thought that was pretty cool because like now it's got me thinking like, were the ones from Rogue One, like how long has this been around? Are those actual just normal guys? They're just really good at their job and they get promoted to that rank and can wear that armor, or you know what? Because I just thought that was pretty cool, and I kind of like how this show leaned into some horror aspects. Some scary stuff in there, some kind of jarring stuff in there that more than we're used to seeing. Like usually with Star Wars, it's, you know, creatures and grotesque like beasts and things like that. But with this, like actual just undead humans, was really, really cool. And I do like that they, you know, they really worked magic into the whole season with the Night Sisters and everything else. So I thought that was one of my tops. Just seeing that was really cool. And then obviously Sabine, you know, taking care of business and using the Force to pull that lightsaber in and pull a Kylo Ren and just off that one guy. So
she did it first.
Yeah, technically she did it first. There you go. So
all the sequel trilogy lovers are gonna hate that. No, totally correct points on that. In terms of the Death Troopers, I believe the Death Troopers accompanied those Imperial officers in white, which would make sense for Krennic, right? Who was, you know, in the white Imperial officer uniform. But Thrawn is sans the cape, as they would say. So yeah, they were the highest of the highs, and they sort of protected. They were probably Thrawn's personal Death Troopers. That's probably what they were, which was neat. Speaking of Night Sisters, I gotta give it up for Morgan. No, big shout out to Morgan, who is just very loyal in all she does, and you know, gets the evolution, gets the upgrade she's been, I guess, maybe seeking, maybe wanting, and we get to see, again, not sure the context of originality, but we get to see the Night Sisters turn a sister into a Night Sister using, you know, mascara and some green stuff. And that was, you know, sort of painful to watch, but also really cool because it's sort of, the one thing I like about the Night Sisters is, you know, Palpatine found them to be a threat, so he wiped them out. So if Palpatine finds them to be a threat, we got 3 coming back to the galaxy far, far away, and out from, I got to give Rural Farm Boy a shout out here, because he's got some insight. He listens to the pod a lot. He listens to a lot of podcasts, but he's got some sort of insider information where he knows things, and they were toying with, what do you call the galaxy that Peridea exists in? And there was the toying with the new beyond, which I sort of like. It's very mysterious. And the Night Sisters have a power that can cancel out the Force. You know, which is a good thing. It's a good thing to have something that the Force, is not an all-powerful thing. If you have it, then it's sort of whatever. I mean, that's what that's always what we've been taught, of course. But this blade of Talzin, seemingly made of magic, can just withstand lightsabers and cut things in half, and very powerful weapon. Wondering what happens to it post Morgan. But how about Morgan working so hard to get to Thrawn, only to realize that I guess I'm not making this trip. It appears that we are going to need more time. And she's like, God damn it.
She gets promoted and then immediately falls out of the office window.
Oh, sure. That's just, But she did it. She did it with class. Although there was a little part of, I guess, rebellion where he says, for the Empire. And she says, for death. Which I guess is fine. Maybe she's remembering when Palpatine wiped out her race. Maybe that could be it. But I was curious if we're going to have a little double cross for a second. And maybe she was going to try to go after him and he would have to take her out. But now I just want to, I don't think people talk about Morgan too much. And I want to put that in my top moments. And I thought Morgan was loyal to the end.
Yep.
Uncanny and a formidable opponent. I'm a little disappointed that she gets offed, although are we officially saying she's offed? Because she would be a good opponent.
The sisters said she was.
Yeah, I guess you're right. They clearly said Morgan is dead.
There was no remorse,
thanks,
decorum. Morgan is dead.
You saw what Filoni tweeted though, right?
No.
He said somehow Morgan has returned.
Damn it. I missed that.
I know. I wish I was. No, Sean, she was one of my tops too.
Yes!
The Blade of Talzin was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I need that as a replica from Galaxy's Edge or whatever. It just looked cool in live action.
You can find it on the Galactic Star Cruiser.
Yeah. Lost merchandise that's
lost
just,
in space.
Padlocked now forever. But
Right.
I thought she was a good character.
I loved it.
She was a plus and a positive and a negative for me. Negative because I want more of her, and I feel like it was like, okay, good, you're here to serve this purpose for this season, and then we're done with you. But I thought there was a lot more to her that could have been stretched out, because she really had like a pretty interesting story, like, and for her to go through everything she went through to get to Thrawn, and then she's just basically like fed to the dogs. All right, see you later. Like I want to see more of her. It's a shame we probably won't, unless there's something like, now that we're talking magic, like, anything's possible. Anything 100%. Can happen. But yeah, she was definitely a top for me. I really enjoyed just like her kind of her glow up in this episode.
Yeah, the duel.
If you want to call it that.
Well, the duel starts in Mando season 2 and finishes in Ahsoka season 1 years later. I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing storytelling, and it's on purpose storytelling, and that's the storytelling that we like. We don't like the random. We don't like the disconnected. We like. I mean, I won't speak for you, but I know we like these little small connections that can happen. I do wish she wasn't offed, though, for sure. I wish there was a little seed of doubt that she would have survived, which would have created some drama later down the line. But alas, it is what it is. Poor Morgan. Mikey?
I too have Morgan on there as well, but
Nice.
not necessarily just Morgan in general. The Thrilla and Manila Part 2, their second duel, which I feel like this one was finally a solid lightsaber duel, in this series. And I mean, granted, it was a lot of far away shots, so it wasn't the actress who played Morgan and Rosario that did the work, but everything about the duel was great, especially chop the lightsaber in half.
That's
the
interesting,
troopers
right?
come. Sabine comes back to help out using her newly acquired force powers. But I thought it was the best choreographed, blocked lightsaber duel that they've had in this show. My only gripe...
That's a hot take, because there's been good duels in this show.
I feel like a lot of them have been most of them have been choppy.
Okay.
This one seemed better choreographed than the rest of them.
Okay.
To
Fair.
me.
Fair.
Like a lot of the Sabine ones seem slower.
Yeah.
Like they're not as fat. Like this one had some speed to it.
Okay. I'm with you now.
And I feel like the music along with the duel went perfectly well with it.
Music is very moving, is what I put down.
And like
great
stops the way the music stopped at certain points where they clashed and clanged. It played like a story.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that.
I do have issue with the blade of Talzin. Yes. Are either of you familiar with Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the movie?
Familiar with the movie. Can't say I've seen it.
All right.
Isn't there a weapon in there?
Yes. Let me present this. When Scott earns the power of self-respect. Let me see.
Are you gonna present something?
I'm going to present something.
Oh, this is the best.
Wow.
Hold on. Wait a second. We've got unprecedented breaking news. Mike is going to present something onto the StreamYard stream.
Never before done.
If you're listening to this on audio, you better watch it on YouTube at the 31:30.
All right.
If we get there, it could be 32.
Don't show these tips again.
I try not to show the tip.
So,
Let's see.
Scott earns.
Hold on. Wait a second. I gotta add it to the stage. Oh, that is the Blade of Talzin. That's the Blade of Talzin.
That's amazing. Yeah. Wow.
Is that Lex Luthor?
That is not. Wait, are you now confusing Eisenberg and Sarah?
That's not a bad confusion, by the way. That's not a
No,
horrible
they're
one.
definitely more similar because they both play the same awkward, scrawny person.
As soon as I saw the Blade of Talzin, I was like, Scott earns the power of self-respect.
Okay. I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh man, you said something earlier that I was gonna piggyback on, but then you went into presenting and doing something awesome, and I forgot it. So whatever, we'll move on. Love that take on the Blade of Talzin and Morgan. Look, the Morgan love. We gotta get ourselves some of those triangle things, and then we can create things and pinpoint GPS people.
John Morgan.
John, yeah, that's right, John Morgan for sure. My final one, and it's a one that sort of maybe on my second watch made me a little emotional, but I was not prepared for Anakin at the end. Sort of watching over and being a proud papa, seeing his daughter, so to speak, which daughter is interesting if you're starting to think about Mortis. Seeing his daughter sort of take that step, and what I was going to say is, I didn't think Sabine was coming back for Ahsoka. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought she was gone,
Yeah.
and then she came back, and it's interesting that she came back because there was a little connection, earlier, and I totally of the meaningful, like masters are meaningful, the relationship between a Padawan and master is a meaningful one, but dangerous or something challenging and meaningful. That's what I wrote down, and I'm like, that's gonna come back, and it did, because Sabine, made that decision that I got my friend on there, but she's gonna die because I think she was gonna get bested by Morgan. For sure. So she went back, and I thought that was really neat. And then I guess with Ahsoka saying, I'm going to be here for you, just to let you know, that is something that probably Anakin was proud of. So seeing that now, the whole, how can Anakin show himself? There's questions. We are in a different galaxy, though. We may have a little bit of a force freedom there. There's robe mismatches if you consider the end of Return of the Jedi with the brown robes, although they just imposed you know, Hayden Christensen's face on top of that. So whatever. I looked past those little minutia, you know, it doesn't bother me. But just a little smirky smirk at the end, like just like super proud. The music at the end, the swell, I forget it what it is exactly, but I just wrote down music is very moving at that point. So there's a lot of top things that happens in the episode, but Anakin for me, man, they did a great job with Hayden. But I think they closed the book on that. I don't think he comes back now. He's done. You know, there's no reason for him to come back. She is grown up at this point. We got our flashback. We got our lessons learned. We got our final lesson. She is a Jedi once again. She's reborn. She made the ultimate sacrifice, right? Mm-hmm. And now there's really no reason. His job is done. He can move on.
I could see it happening one way that I was thinking about, but I guess when we do Wayseeking, I'll talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that later. Any other top moments, friends?
Negative.
I love the whole Balin scene.
Okay.
I guess
all
like
30 seconds.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like, but just emotionally, it's tough because it's like I want to see what happens, and they left it in there, so they could have. There has to be some kind of. I feel like there's going to be a recast, or there's going to be something. Because he's just been, for me, like one of the brightest spots of the whole show. Like I love this whole season, but his character has just been so good. Like I was watching the other guys over the weekend, and he's in that, and I'm like, how is this the same person? Like he's just like a evil henchman guy in that, and in this, he's this complex former Jedi with all of these layers, and he goes to Peridia for this specific purpose. And like, are we gonna find out what happens with that? But the fact that they left that in there was a top moment for me because I feel like they're going to do something and at least tie up his story for closure, which is good because I think, you know, say what you will, like you said, that like this episode has been polarizing, like from a lot of what I've read too. Some people either enjoy it or they don't. But I think Balin's been one of the things that most Star Wars fans can agree on, like has been awesome. Yeah. So I hope they do his story justice at least, and Ray Stevenson justice. And I don't know how they'll do it, but you know, the fact that they left it in there, it has me excited to see what Dave is going to be cooking in the lab.
You know, it's not the first time they've dealt with an actor who's died, you know, on a project, and they're creative in a way to bring him back, or just push him into a different medium, you know, or you know, comic series or whatever. But you know, the big thing is, you know, when I'm watching that, and I'm not surprised. I guess I wasn't surprised that Balin wasn't really present because he made his choice 2 episodes ago. This is what I'm doing. Fine. Shin, I thought would have maybe went back to Thrawn, but maybe she felt shame that she failed. Okay, fine. Maybe she saw the opportunity to lead these bandits. Whatever. What I missed on the first watching is all the big rock formations. Again, I wasn't really a Clone Wars guy, so the whole Mortis arc really is lost to me. Of having this, again, it's one of those things where it's like we're trying to explain the Force using a Trinity, which is a very Catholic thing to do, and I don't need the Force to be compared to anything. It's my argument against midichlorians and making it scientific, and now we have the religious aspect of it, and I would rather the Force be a mystery where, oh, Sabine didn't go through all this formal training. How could she possibly have the power? You know why she had the power? Because she believed she could do it. And our big friend Yoda said that you don't try to do things, you just do it. And as long as you believe that you can do it, it will probably happen for you. You know, that is why you failed. You just didn't believe you could do it. Sabine was very confident she was going to be able to push her friend, who she just got back together with, over a chasm in which he would have inevitably died, although I could argue that in the High Republic, there are ways for Jedi to soften the blow from a very, very long fall by sort of, you know, force pushing down. Whatever. I haven't seen that live action, but I would love to. But yeah. Lost my train of thought. Doesn't matter. But, the Mortis stuff. Yeah. I'm not like... I don't care about it. what is this great power? What is the Mortis? Why is the daughter missing? The son, the whole thing, the blah, blah, blah. Is Anakin the father? Is he the son? Is he the father? Is Anakin the son? I think it's tired. I don't really, it's not going to matter when it gets to the sequel trilogy, which is probably why it's but this is like Filoni's 12-year-old child that he's trying to put to bed. So I don't really know. You got the owl, the mirage. I don't think it's an owl. I think it's a certain kind of bird, which only appears to Ahsoka.
It's a turkey vulture.
It's something. I think that's like, of course the mirage there, but why is it there? There is no reason or indication of why that would be there, but whatever. It's fine. But yeah, Baylan, really interesting character. I hope they recast him. I hope they continue it. Menacing, knighty, good stuff. Love it. Final thoughts on top moments. That was a long top moments segment.
Long top.
Good work for good work by us, or bad work by us. Doesn't matter.
I'm good.
All right. Okay, great. Well, Mike, are you ready to put the people in their place?
Of course I am.
Here we go.
We do not care.
Things don't always work out as planned. Sometimes you leave your starting pitcher in a little too long. Sometimes you throw a hanging slider.
Oh, too soon.
When you should have gone high speed. And when these moments happen in life, you gotta just pick yourself up by your bootstraps, or your cleats in this case, and go back to the drawing board.
My daughter calls them cleeks. Doesn't quite have the T, which I find it fun. I don't even correct her. I just think it's funny.
It's all
What
right.
are you trying to put on? Cleeks? Okay, cool.
It's all right. Tommy can't do. He can't say Chinese food, so he says shiny food.
Hey,
So now
he does
it is-
listen, so he's not wrong.
It is now shiny food.
I love that so much. That's the best.
Like, even when I make stir fry and Violet, who can say that, Daddy, what are you making? Shiny food.
Yes, that's a franchise in the making. The shiny food franchise.
All right. My biggest bottom. The lack of a post-credit scene.
Oh, totally agree. Pissed about it.
Like, there's nothing else I have to say about that.
That's
There's no
bullshit.
post-credit scene.
Anything.
Yep.
It
'Cause
could have been anything.
We're not going
It
to
could
see
have
them
been
for what?
Carson.
2
We talked
years,
about
3
this.
years? Like, I mean, I was expecting something with Hera and Ezra, and like, oh, we know how to get to them, or I think we could find a way, like something, because we're not going to see any of these characters for what, probably 2 or 3 years now.
The Hera Ezra scene, which we didn't even talk about, is super weird in its timing. I would only imagine that when the Chimera came into orbit, which we know that takes 2 to 3 days, right? 2 to 3 rotations. How did he get into the ship? Did he just go? And if he just went, why is he still wearing stormtrooper armor? Does he need to wear the stormtrooper armor? It doesn't make any sense. That would have been a better mid-credit scene. Because all we know is that they're back in the galaxy. We don't know what they're doing. So that would have been a cool moment to stick in and maybe have them, I don't know, hug. A hug would have been nice, right?
Yeah, instead of Chopper just kind of rolling up and being like, I know who this is. And
Yeah. I mean, it was a cool scene, but it was sort of like it was weird on the timing. Because clearly days have passed. But it didn't feel like days have passed. So it was very, very, I didn't like it. No. Yeah.
That scene with Hera and Ezra had such a Seinfeld vibe for me.
Okay.
Where when he came out and
Hi,
everybody
Hera.
like shot, hi Hera. I pictured the bow, beep bow, and then cut to black.
I'm home. It was awkward. I didn't like it. It wasn't a great it wasn't a great thing. It would have been better if they shot him down and he's like, please don't shoot me anymore, or something like that. But they didn't have enough time for that.
Yeah, it was weird. He kept his helmet on too. Like they drew
It's
it
weird.
out. Like it's supposed to be this crazy big reveal. Like we already knew that he escaped. Like he was gonna somehow find. He's uber resourceful. He's gonna find his way.
Yeah.
To Hera and everyone else. Like, and it's fine that they just skipped it. Maybe saved us an episode of season 2 and just have him with them right now. But it was weird that he was wearing the stormtrooper outfit the whole time too. Like I don't know. Maybe Thrawn was my boss and zoomed him and was like, "Hey, I want your camera on," and then he had to keep the helmet on.
It could have been as simple as we're getting a transmission from an unidentified ship.
Right,
Hera, I'm home, but I need your help.
Mm-hmm.
Cut to black. I mean, okay, great. Now I'm in. You know what I mean? That would have been a great way of doing it. Because he's still in need. You know what I mean? So I don't know. And then I just felt like they should have connected it to Mando somehow. Even if Grogu's playing with his frogs and juggling frogs, and he sort of looks right, and Mando's like, "What's going on?" And Grogu goes, in his little language, "I've got a bad feeling about this." It could have been that, and that's all you needed, and we could have and I would have been like, "Hot diggity dog, I am ready to wait 2.5 years for the next show." But they didn't, and it's a sour opportunity. For the first time in 8 episodes, Mike, I agree with you.
Ooh.
Or just, I was surprised there wasn't the.
I hit the wrong button. I missed it. That was on this side.
All right. So number 2. This always annoys me.
I love when you sigh before you get into your thought.
Because it annoys me.
I don't want to talk about this.
This always annoys me, not just in this episode, just in any type of movie or show in general, where someone does something for the first time and they are immediately an expert.
Ooh.
Sabine gets the force pull for her lightsaber once and then automatically can push Ezra across a ravine.
I've already made my point on that. I'm not going to repeat myself, but I will.
And I go back to Luke, who did that in Empire Strikes Back, and then tries to lift a ship out of the water and gets it 2 inches.
Which is crazy to think about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he does it, kinda.
Yeah. But still, over time, perfected it. Nope. One try, I got it for the rest of my life. I'm good.
Yeah. I tend to agree with you.
No montage.
Yeah, that's true. We did need the montage. I do agree with you in the fact that I'll agree to you to this. 8 episodes is not enough episodes to tell a story. And they need to cut some corners, and at least they acknowledged a couple things. One, she did train with Ahsoka prior.
Mm-hmm.
Ahsoka did not like where she was going with her mind, and stunted her growth, probably on purpose, which probably caused the rift. She doesn't practice for a while. Ahsoka obviously sees. The only thing that's kind of confusing is that Huyang is like, "You're literally the worst ever," and then I guess she's not literally the worst ever. Because her potential is unlocked, which I kind of like the theory of the Peridia theory of maybe having a little bit more force sensitivity. I would argue that she had more training than Rey.
I would agree with that.
In terms of official training versus survival training. And Rey did okay for herself. And she got killed with the Mary Sue discourse. And can you say Sabine's a Mary Sue? I don't think so. She's Mandalorian. She's warrior first. She's a hard worker, and I'm okay with it, but I also would have liked a warm up to it a little bit, kind of what you like, a little evolution to it. It would have been cool to see, instead of what's his face, Ezra pulling her during that ground battle, she pulls him or pushes him out of the way in a little way.
No.
Something like that. I'm with you.
So,
I can
pose
feel
a
what you're
question to you. Did Sabine actually help trying to open the gate?
I felt like she did. I think that also that was a way of Ahsoka like trusting in her, like, hey, we're gonna need your help. Like, I know we're the Jedi with actual like control. There's an interesting scene. Remember the scene? They're all three across and they're deflecting. Someone broke it down, right? And like Ahsoka is deflecting them back, right? And Ezra's deflecting them back. The first shot at Sabine hits her right in the head with the helmet, right? So it dings off her helmet.
And then Ahsoka goes, blasters.
Right, well, no, seriously. Yeah, so that's my point. Is now she realizes, like, where did that come from? And then every shot that she deflected hit the ground. Because she's just not good with the lightsaber, right? At all. That proves your point a little bit more that her ability to do things is not as sharp. But I just thought it hits her right in the helmet. She's like, wait a second. She really uses her Mandalorian armor a lot.
Yeah.
To block things, which is sketchy. Sketchy. But we've seen Mando survive better odds or worse odds, I said.
All the odds.
I like it. Thank you. Good one.
And my last one. The lack of Shin and Daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. They probably combined, 45 seconds of screen time? Like,
if that.
It's crazy.
Now, I know, like, it's setting up a different story for them, but if they were going to go that route with, like, their own little side missions, I would have rather have them finish that up in episode 7 and just, like, it felt kind of just, like, thrown in, like, almost like, oh, we need to do something with Shin and Balin.
Yeah. But they had to do something with Shin and Balin, for sure.
We forgot. Guys, give them 20 seconds apiece of looking at something.
Yeah, sort of
another story.
Well, and then I think what made it really weird is we didn't really have a good transition from finale to epilogue.
Mm-hmm.
Because they blast away. And then it immediately like goes into epilogue, which was like Balin. And we're like, what is happening, right? So I think the way they sort of ordered and structured the final, few minutes of the show wasn't too great. We didn't really get any time context. That time has passed since then. Again, a lower thirds text would be great. A few days later, now Ezra shows up. Great. Balin is doing his thing. We know that time has passed and they have gone on their ways. How long was Shin in the wilderness finding these bandits? Obviously, she's been by herself for a few days. I don't know. But I agree with you. It is just a little bit... Again, I think it's a timing thing. I think they had a 90-minute episode that they were jamming down to 42, which I don't understand why. There's literally no time constraints. So why are we cutting things out from a TV show? Like, what are the rules here that we have to cut things? Interesting. That's a question for another time. A story for another time. Las Canada.
I'm still waiting on that story.
Still waiting on
any story.
Do you have anything else, my friend?
I do not. Those are my main 3. Does anybody else have any?
I do.
Bottoms.
Ooh, let's hear it, Dame.
Where is Zeb?
Damn, that's a great question, and I'm pissed about it.
I would have preferred if they took his Mando cameo and put it in this instead.
It would have been more appropriate.
It would have made more sense. You had Carson in this show, so like that in exchange. If you literally maybe took that scene and changed a little bit of the dialogue, threw it in here, I would have thought that would have made more sense. Like, I guess maybe it was a budget thing. like his CGI
It has to be a
and
budget thing.
everything.
Mhm.
Why wouldn't Carson and Zeb be the X-Wings that accompany her on their independent mission? That would make more sense than anything, for sure. Great point. Definitely a budget thing. I think it's, he was all CGI'd up, right?
Yeah.
And really just the shoulders up. He didn't have anything else. It would have been, his animation, his Lego figure is an outrageous plastic piece. I can't imagine CGIing that up, for sure. So, no, I agree. I think they had a missed opportunity there for sure, with that. And let me see. I'm looking. I don't know. Do you think it was a little annoying for Thrawn to continue to mention the Empire? Like, we get it, dude.
I feel like it's all he knows. Like, that's just his sole purpose in life.
Yeah. I guess I was hoping Thrawn was going to maybe bring upon a new vision. But more and more, it seems like Thrawn is just sort of helping set up what eventually will become the First Order.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, is fine. It has to get there. But I was hopeful that maybe it was going in a different direction. But for the Empire, long live the Empire. I mean, long live the Empire, Moff Gideon says the same thing. So a little bit of a connection there, which is kind of cool. But I don't think I have anything else for me. Not too much on the negatives in this show tonight, which is not a bad thing. I have no question for the chatters this time around, except for thanks for being here. So we will get right into our noticements.
Noticements.
We've noticed a lot of things already, especially in our top moments, so I imagine there's not much left.
Yeah,
I noticed.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say all of my noticements, like literally, were mentioned already.
believe it.
think.
I believe it. I've noticed just a few things, and some things like, why is that ship in such in low orbit? I thought to myself, I think it has something to do with satellite imagery and trying to locate them. So to have it any higher would cause the comm scan to find them faster. So that was my only justification for why they have such a low orbit there. I thought that was pretty cool. One of my favorite Thrawn things that he did today in the episode was when he sends the TIE fighters off and they get exploded, and then the report comes back that they made contact, that they disabled the ship, but the pilots were lost. And he said, acceptable outcome, mark the captain for a citation. Like he did something wrong because the TIE fighter pilots didn't make their way back. And that's such a great Thrawn move. And Mike, you would appreciate it more because all the Thrawnisms. I mean, I'm telling you, they're literally image to image, copy paste from the Rebels show. It's really great. Mark it for citation. I really enjoyed that. Another great line from Thrawn is when he is teaching Morgan that a singular Jedi can turn the tide of most battles, and then he goes up very close to her and says, "Never again." I can appreciate that because I'm not a person that likes to make mistakes. Especially when it comes to tech implementation or doing something. Whatever. I often learn from those mistakes, and I have that moniker, it's okay to make that mistake that first time, but never again, right? Never again. I love that line. A line that I noticed, which I thought was cool, speaking to Sabine, is I think her and Ahsoka are on the ship, right? It's floating, it's idling, and Ahsoka says, "Hey, have you kept up with your training?" And she says, "I try." And then she follows it very quickly with, "I do." And again, back to that try, do sort of forcey thing with Yoda. I thought that was intentional with that very particular lines of "I try, I do." When I give my test and quizzes on Friday after we review, I'm going to say this line. I will rain hellfire upon them. Which clearly didn't work, and that's fine. The Howlers really did. I think shout out to the Howlers, right? For running through turbo laser bombardment without missing a beat. Shout out to them. Thrawn says, I know you because I know your master. Maybe, perhaps, this is where a Ronin like you should be. The final words from Thrawn over Comm. I mean, I think all the words from Thrawn are really, really interesting. But, like, the term Ronin, right? That's, just to look it up real fast. You know, the shadows of samurai, masterless and less honorable. Right? Like, what? You know, so that was a cut. That was a cut deep. You know, that was a deep one, man.
Very savage.
Yeah, and I mean, he's basing that off of like the Vader stuff. Mm-hmm. But we sort of know as the audience that she came to peace with that, but we were still like, damn. I was like, oh my God, they called her dishonorable, which is wild. And then finally, again, going to lines, I wrote this very big on my paper. Ahsoka speaks to everyone, right? They're on Peridia, they're stuck. This is the storyline we have. And she clearly says, it's time to move on. And I think she's speaking to a lot of the fan base. I think Filoni's speaking to a lot of the fan base with his lines by saying it is time to move on, and that again can be interpreted, but I can see it as, the sequels are here to stay. It's time to move on and let's get going. Mm-hmm. And then I think kind of cool stuff. So obviously Mirai, obviously all the stuff we've mentioned before. Mannequin Ghost. I like the hyperspace trail. That was awesome. Right, we see those waves coming out. That ship should have been exploded, but we'll allow it. It's fine. I think that's all. Oh,
they'll allow it.
No, thank you. How about the beheading of the Death Trooper?
Very cool. I wish she was. I get why they cut away, because obviously, like family show, kid show, but still pretty shocking to see a head.
Pretty shocking. The severed, cauterized neck of the Death Trooper. The only way to get them, of course, is to go for the head and double tap, right in the head, right? Both of them headshots, if you think about it. She got the headshot with the lightsaber. He got the headshot with the sever, which was neato cool. I throw it to anybody else who has anything off with their head, says Nicole. I agree.
I think everything I said was just in my tops. Just little things I noticed.
I love it. Well, that's good stuff.
I have a couple things.
Oh,
sweet.
I forgot. I said I had a couple things. I said most. Maybe. I don't know. So Sabine taking a page out of Cal Kestis's book with blaster and saber going at the same time.
Like that. Well, I didn't play the new game, but I imagine that's what you can do in the new game. I just saw videos. That's fair. It has to be true.
I just saw people playing it. I was like, ooh, that looks fun.
Yeah. I think I like that because it's very hybrid. Mm-hmm. Hybrid action.
I feel like in this series in general, there has been a lot of ambiguity with quotes and with what people have said.
Okay.
So something that Thrawn said when he was talking to, I think he was talking to Morgan about, it was right after Rain Hellfire.
Okay.
When he says, there will be no negotiating with Anakin's apprentice. Now, I took that a couple different ways. I took that either like Ahsoka is hot-headed like Anakin, so
Agree.
we wouldn't be able to negotiate, or I'm gonna off Ahsoka so there won't even be a negotiation.
I took it both ways, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I think he definitely felt like the threat was real.
Yeah.
He was fearful when he found out. Wait a second. He trained somebody like him, right? And like that's a big deal. Yeah, not a lot of people know that they had interactions. We've talked about it before, but like, yeah, this is not a normal situation. This was normal, and this is now not normal. We're gonna need more time. Morgan, you're up, right? Yep. Like, so I mean, he had to sacrifice what would you consider Morgan, a knight, right, on the chessboard?
Pawn. Yeah,
well, I don't think a pawn.
She's a step above pawn.
Yeah,
the Death Troopers, the Stormtroopers would be there for sure.
You know, so he had to sacrifice. I mean, he's playing chess. You know, everybody else is playing checkers, of course. And, you know, that's why it's kind of a little disappointing that, not that I wanted Sabine or Ezra or Ahsoka to die, but what did they, I guess what they sacrificed was their existence.
Yeah.
They don't exist right now.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good and bad. And for that, we'll have to get the Wayseeking. So, Mike,
my last little thing, more of a question.
I like questions.
So, the Eye of Zion's docking system, is that for any chip or specifically just for the Chimera?
I think it was built under the specifications for that type of Imperial ISD, right? Mm-hmm. It's a specific type of class ship, and I think the Eye of Zion, which obviously didn't get built overnight, but built in time, which we could say took 8 years to do, right? Because they're sourcing the parts. Sort of, the sourcing the parts sort of reminded me of Spider-Man Homecoming when they were sourcing the alien parts, right? And then the federal government comes in and tries to regulate it.
Yep.
I thought that was pretty cool, a little cool connection, but I definitely think, I mean, that's the only other hyperspace rings we've seen is for Jedi starfighters. So that's on a smaller scale, so I thought maybe they thought to themselves, if we just control plus, and zoom this in, we may be able to fit that Imperial Star Destroyer. It's a great concept, though. I love the idea of, like, that was a realistic way of getting to a different galaxy with 7 Super Star Destroyer hyperdrives. Super Star Destroyer. The Executor was a Super Star Destroyer. The Executor was 12 miles long. You need quite the engine to power that, and there was 7 of them. So for me, it's plausible to make that happen. But I do believe it was specific to that Chimera.
And that's it for me.
Do you think they got the Eye of Zion off the Citadel Tower at Scarif? Which doesn't exist at this point, but you get it. Inquisitor Tower in the middle of the ocean? Maybe. I mean, they obviously have renderings of the Jedi Starfighter, rings.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff on the noticements. Thank you for noticing. Now let's get to predicting. The hell are in those crates?
Dengar clones.
What the hell is in those gosh darn crates?
Spiced.
All right. Yes or no? Here we go. Say it at the same time. Ahsoka Season 2?
Yes.
Yes.
Not announced, though. Mando Season 4?
Yes.
Yes.
Probably. Movie?
For sure.
What year?
2027.
28.
Wow. 4 years.
I said
If they're
28.
going to squeeze a couple more seasons, if they're going to do an Ahsoka Season 2 and a Mando Season 4, maybe they come out the same year, but you figure neither have been announced. We still have the strike going on with the actors.
Yeah.
So that stretches everything out and pushes everything back at this point. So, I mean, I would assume they would need, maybe start production in 2026 on the movie, comes out 2027, maybe have 2025 with a second and fourth season of Ahsoka and Mando respectively, and then kind of tee it up for that. But yeah, I don't know. That's just me guessing.
Yeah. No, it is. It's good. It's good guessing. Does the movie release in theaters? Is it big enough to release in theaters?
They have to.
Ooh. But is it big enough to release in theaters?
I think so. I mean, just based off of like me going to watch TV show in a movie theater and like the hype and the reaction, like I just think you think about it, we haven't had Star Wars in a movie theater since 2019 now.
Mm-hmm.
It's already been 4 years. And I don't know if there's going to be another movie that would be in theaters before then, before this Filoni film.
Right.
So, I mean, people are going to be chomping at the bit. And I think that he's building out this world for them to basically make a Star Wars movie that everyone can come together and enjoy in theaters together.
Will the movie require you to re-watch the seasons to understand it? Because movies are made for general audiences.
I wouldn't be mad if they did a recap, which would be not traditional for a movie, but they do it for every show. You know what I mean?
That's interesting.
Or how about what they did? They could do right justification for this one. Since
Shut up.
The movie. They do the scroll.
Shut the hell up. The scroll would actually make the most sense because they would say, you know what Filoni would do? As per my last email, in Mando season 1, here's what happens. What if it just kind of did that? No, that's interesting.
I would agree with that it would definitely be released in the movie theater, but I don't think it would have the the gross of like an episode, like one of the prequels, original. It wouldn't have that type of.
Well, Force Awakens made the 1 billion mark, so we're not going to put it there.
No,
I think it would
Solo
have the
made
success,
the least, right?
I think it would have the success of like Rogue One.
Yeah, I could see doing better in Rogue One. Just because you have these characters that we've become familiar with.
Yeah.
Versus Rogue One, where it was just kind of like, hey, here's the plot of this movie. It's going to be pretty cool. Like, and then everyone was like, wow, this is an amazing movie.
Rogue One made $1 billion.
Wow. I did not know
that. Worldwide gross. Domestic 532, international 523.
Wow.
Wow.
I did not know that.
Especially because no one goes to the movie theater now. I don't think it makes that money then.
Solo I think it's going to be Solo money. Solo money made $392 million. Domestic 213, international 179. The question is, does Filoni's Mandoverse movie, make more than $400 million worldwide?
I think so.
Now, here's the kicker. Solo had a budget of $275 million. I don't think they'll get that budget.
I don't know.
If they're spending $10 million an episode, right?
Right.
$80 million for the 8 episodes, which you could consider just a long movie.
Mm-hmm.
Do they get $100 million to make the movie? And do they? Again, this is Disney business,
right?
They're not dumping money into projects anymore. That's clear. Here's $110 million to make this movie. Make it happen. We need to make $500 million. Will it make $500 million? Will they get $400 million back? Will this be the movie that erases the Solo deficit?
I could see it.
I can see it too.
I mean, there's just something to be said about the theater experience still. Like, I remember during the pandemic, looking back and being like, man, I wish I had another Endgame moment in the movie theater. Like, just that moment of, holy crap, all this, like, years of culmination of all these movies, just, like, right there. And we kind of had it, eventually we had it with No Way Home, which I thought was awesome. So much fun. And I think that people will go to the theater if it's the right film. And something like this, something like Star Wars, is just appreciated better on a big screen, the biggest screen you could possibly find.
Yeah.
I think a big thing that would have to do with this is Pedro Pascal's star power continuing to climb.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of, with the strike and everything right now, he's kind of at a standstill.
Mm-hmm.
So especially if Last of Us Season 2 is phenomenal, if his star power continues to climb, then I think it exceeds that, what was it, the 500 mark.
Yep. Yeah, well, yeah, I got what you're saying. The star power is going to drive people to go to the theater to see him. I got what you're saying. Interesting. Anyway, question 4. Do we think, yes or no, Thrawn will eventually connect us to the First Order?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do the witches help bring Palpatine back?
It's the easy way to do it.
No.
Okay.
I have a weird theory.
I like weird theories.
Bringing people. No, I'm trying to think of timelines and this, that, and so forth. No, never mind. He would have already died in the duel with Obi-Wan. Never mind. I was thinking of Dathomir, Witcher's Maul, back from the dead. But it would have been past.
Yeah, he's an old man now because of the Kenobi, and that was actually in Rebels. P.S. Season 4? Rebels Season 4? Yes, I don't know what the witches are going to do. It's a question I have. They end up going to Dathomir, which is a mysterious planet, a very difficult planet to navigate.
Is it in the Outer Rim?
Oh, what a question.
Because wasn't Exegol in the Outer Rim?
Oh, Exegol's in the unknown regions.
Unknown regions.
Through the red honeycomb plasma, whatever.
And the sea of swirly, twirly gumdrops.
Yes.
Went through the Lincoln Tunnel. Dude, Elf is already on TV.
Oh,
Christmas decorations are already in Home Depot. Everybody relax.
All right, Dathomir is a hop, skip, and a jump from Yavin 4. It is considered mid-rim? I'm going to say mid-rim. Coruscant is considered internal, and Dathomir is, I would say, mid. Exegol is on the... Well, you know what? I'm looking at this the way I'm looking at this. I would say Dathomir and Exegol are equidistant from the edge of the galaxy that I'm looking at. But I don't know. But it's technically mid because of the... There's a lot of activity on the right side of this map I'm looking at.
Exegol is mid.
I hated the concept of Exegol. Yeah, sector. It's in the region of the unknown. This is a great map. I got to share this. Somebody put this together. What a psycho. Dathomir is... Oh, the region is the Outer Rim. In the Quelly sector? What the hell does that mean? Okay. Oh, they have coordinates on it. Okay, interesting.
Nerds.
Yeah, a bunch of nerds here. Let me just throw that in the chat. Very interesting. Check out that map. Yeah, that's cool. We sort of talked about what we think would happen with Balin. Does he find this power? Does Shin become the baddie of the new Beyond?
I think she might. I think she'll find her. I think she'll find comfort in being in control of people.
Yeah.
She might relish in that a little bit, but I could also see her turning face, like becoming good at some point. Because I just think there was a lot of conflict and confusion in her as to why some things were going down. So I definitely think that there's a potential for her to. Obviously, she's going to run into Ahsoka and Sabine at some point, and I think maybe they come together, and work together.
They did raise. They did. I think Ahsoka will again offer her hand.
Mm-hmm.
As Mike troubleshoots his microphone, I can see what's happening. He's looking. He doesn't hear. It's back. Something's back. Anyways, I think
what just happened.
It muted by itself. I can tell you that right now. You didn't touch anything.
I know. I have no idea. And then now it's like not even. It's through my regular.
Your audio drivers have failed you.
They have.
Somehow, Mike's mic has returned.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Sort of.
Any other wacky theory? I mean, there's a lot of unresolved. What does what happens with Thrawn now? You know what I mean? Like, we have the year is 9 ABY, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are sort of in unknown territory. Moff Gideon seemingly defeated. The only kind of thread we have from season 3 of Mando is the Council of Shadows. Paleon, maybe Paleon's on Dathomir. Maybe that's why they're going there. Paleon, his right-hand man, of course. What happens next? Do they regroup? Does Thrawn take over the Shadow of Council? Or the Council of Shadows? We have Hux in the Shadow of Council. That's why it's like interesting, because like Paleon's on one side of the table and Hux is on the other side of the table.
Right.
But are they exactly working together? I don't think so. So like, I don't know if Thrawn does have a direct connection with the First Order just yet. I think he may want to just control. Maybe his end goal. Okay, so the Chiss is his people, and the Chiss are always worried about the unknown threats in the galaxy. Okay, these Night Sisters are sort of unknown threats. Did Thrawn befriend them to keep them at bay from attacking the Chiss? That would be a very Thrawn thing to do.
Yeah.
To befriend the enemy for the sake of saving his people. Even though he's been exiled, he's very, very loyal to his Chiss folk. But that is so out there and so deep in lore that it wouldn't make sense to go that route. It probably has to be a little simpler. So I don't know. We're in a time where we don't really know when the next show could come out in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Skeleton Crew or Acolyte or something like that.
Oh, I forgot about Acolyte too.
Yeah. Jeez. Acolyte being very dark from what I'm hearing.
Skeleton Crew 2, I think, supposed to be very dark.
We shall see. No lights at all. Dame, any other predictions that you have?
So I was just kind of talking about the Anakin Force Ghost. I think this will wrap up with Filoni doing a nod to the original trilogy, where we see Force Ghost Anakin, Force Ghost Ahsoka, and Sabine looking on as kind of like the one to carry the mantle going forward. I think we're going to see a lot of growth.
I love it, but I hate it. I just got chills when you said that. Why? That means she's going to die. I'm uncomfortable with that.
I mean, it's because I feel like that movie's going to wrap up all of those stories, so it would be kind of neat to see that. And I just think that that's like a really full circle moment for her. So even though she did kind of have her closure with Anakin this season, I just think for her to be with him as a Force Ghost, I think would be really cool to see.
It would track with the voices that Rey hears when channeling all the Jedi.
Yep.
Because she does hear both Ashley Eckstein and Hayden Christensen. I'm not a fan of that theory, but it does track, damn it. I was hoping that we would see some escapism past the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
For these folks, but now with that idea, I don't see it happening.
That's all I got.
Well, you got me. So mad about it, to be honest with you. Mikey? No likey? Crikey!
I really don't have any like crazy theories, anything along the lines. I feel like I think we alluded to this earlier that maybe Grogu senses something, and he senses the witches, I believe. Obviously they start to take the count. The New Republic starts to finally take the threat of Thrawn seriously because he's actually there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I said this maybe a podcast or two ago that the Dick Ziono has been a mole for like the First Order the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my like I guess, safe-ish
Does
prediction.
the threat of Thrawn warrant bigger heroes? Luke,
I think just
Leia,
step-up
the
moments.
Defense Council, do they get involved? Because Ahsoka's not there. Right? Ezra does not know who the Mandalorian is.
No.
They have no relationship. We now have a rogue Jedi-like person.
Does Hera know of the Mandalorian? And
Don't
Grogu?
know. Carson does. The only connection we have is Carson. So
Right.
the only thing that they could say is, Carson would be like, they would have to say something like, we need to contact Luke Skywalker. And they can't. Okay, fine. What's our next best option? I know a guy. Right? And then it's Mando. Mando gets his people involved, But again, up against a light cruiser was a formidable opponent. Now they're up against a full-fledged Star Destroyer with very little armament with them. So I don't know how they're going to do this story. The more I think about it, you have to include a hero.
Yeah.
A hero has to make an appearance. And the only hero that I know of that is existing in the galaxy that makes sense is Luke. Is this the time we get a Luke recast in this, what probably would be called Heir to the Empire movie? Is this the time?
Ezra was the one that essentially banished Thrawn originally, right?
Yeah.
With the help of it. So is just he your hero?
Could
with
be.
a long time, with along a ragtag group of throwbacks like Carson gets Mando and Bo-Katan involved, and
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. With enough
Bo-Katan
Mandalorian
has
support.
the Darksaber now, so that she'll use the Force, but Darksaber's pretty.
Darksaber's destroyed, brother, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's crushed. It's crushed.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Doesn't exist. Which was
I think
sad.
we'll get another one though. He can just get another model, the same model, just Crest 2.0, dock the N1 on it, and then
boom,
he's good.
Yeah, very interesting. I don't know, but I like not knowing right now. I like that. One of the biggest things I like is that Lucasfilm has learned their lesson of announcing projects all willy-nilly. So hopefully we get to hear some new announcements coming down the line. But in the meantime, if there's nothing else, final thoughts?
I have one little final thought.
Let me hear it.
Do you think they've been adding tidbits of Rangers of the New Republic in
100%.
Like Mando 4 and this just to be like, we need to do it somehow?
I think they, for sure...
All the Carson stuff is Rangers of the New Republic, essentially?
Yeah, I do. I think so. I think that makes the most sense. I would not mind a Rangers of the New Republic show run by Carson, but it would have to be a buddy cop format.
Carson and Bill Burr, his character.
I would love that, actually. Yes. And they're in the snow speeder together, and they're wearing aviator glasses.
Just a Boston accent.
Is the crystal destroyed from the Darksaber? Great question. Does the Darksaber have a crystal? Interesting. Maybe. Only time will tell. Okay. Shall we finish?
We shall.
It's time for our final one-sentence summary of the Ahsoka season. I don't have alliteration this time around, so it's not very fancy, but if you do have something fancy, let it be known.
I have a song-ish.
Ooh, I have a title, but it's a play off of the title of this episode.
All right, Damien, you go first.
All right, it's the Chronicles of Thronia, the Noti, the Witch, and the Jesus Dude.
I wasn't expecting Thronia.
The Chronic, what calls of Thronia?
I liked it. That's good. I say, this finale opens doors to the new beyond, putting our characters into new scenarios and offering up mystery for the first time in a long time.
Boom. Yep.
Mine is in the key of a very popular Van Halen song.
Hot for Teacher?
Yes. No, it's not hot.
Oh, man.
Can't you see you standing here at the edge of a monster ravine? Might be the largest I've seen. Use your force, push the beam. Might as well jump.
That was good. Dude. This is another thing that you should have had me prepare. I could have prepared the doots. The doots, man. That's actually a good sounder to have. Is just those opening horns. Doot, 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 boop, boop, doot, 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 doot.
I love a synth.
Doot, doot, boop, boop, doop. All right. Well, with that, hold on. I put my notes down. Here it is.
This week it was jump. Last week it was celebrate.
I know, man. You gotta listen. You gotta send me the thoughts so I can get this prepared. And that, my friends, is our show. 1 hour and 31 minutes, an appropriate length for a finale. A pretty normal length for a finale. We want to thank our people for checking us out. Tina and Nicole, Backyard TARDIS, and the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast. As you know, this is the Extra Star Wars channel, and if you're watching this live, thank you. If you're watching this after the fact, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment and interact with us on the socials. Just search for us, and you will find us. For other content, check out bio.link/extratechie, and for more nerdy content, head on over to bio.link/red5. Coming down the pipeline, now that we don't have to do a live show every week, we have got more time. I'm going to catch up on the comics. That's going to be my next phase. I think Vader and Star Wars number 39 just dropped. And I think I have like 34, 35, 36, 37, 38 to read. So we've got some more content coming down the line. I'm curious, oftentimes, current issues of Star Wars comics will reference current TV shows. It's pretty interesting. There's a lot of interesting connections to the High Republic within the Star Wars OG comic, which is pretty interesting. It's sort of that concept of no space that I was talking about, how our heroes went into no space and they could not get out of no space without a very particular path engine referencing to the High Republic that allows you to jump in and out of hyperspace at will with these mini bursting jumps, which makes them a chaotic enemy to fight because they disappear and then reappear somewhere else. So it's pretty interesting concepts down in the High Republic. And I think High Republic Phase 3 just started. I missed the boat on Phase 2 completely because I was unhappy that they went back in time instead of continuing the story. But apparently there's going to be some sort of big payoff. And we'll get to that and to all the other good Star Wars stuff on the Extra Star Wars channel. Don't forget to check us out. Mikey, thank you, friend. Appreciate you.
You're
Dame,
welcome.
are we seeing any content from you in the future? What are we seeing?
I've been lacking. I'll be getting back on the horse soon though.
Slacker!
Slacking.
Come on, one kid? You got one.
We got a 5-0 football team. We got some
That is true.
football playoffs and also NBA starting up. So Do you guys
No
know
one
what,
cares
what they
about the
call it when-
NBA.
Do you know what Din Djarin says when he gets fouled during a layup? N1.
And with that, we will say goodbye. We appreciate your time, and may the force be with you.